à 3,33 € et Hornet à 2 €. Voilà, donc si vous
All right. Hello, everyone. Once again, this is the English Speedrun Restreams, restream of Nitro Speedrun Festival, a in-person marathon held by Nitro Speedrun in Lyon, France. Next up is Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, Immortal Severance No-Hit Speedrun. And we have a commentator here to take you all through this run. Marxcie, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, yes, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marxcie. I am going to be commenting Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, specifically the Immortal Severance ending no-hit speedrun. The Immortal Severance category here is the second fastest ending. It's the fastest of the quote-unquote good endings, where you do not serve your father and instead choose to try to save Kuro, betraying your father about halfway through the run here. KEMIST is going to be doing their best to do no hits for this run. That is an incredible feat. As many of you know, Sekiro is an incredibly difficult game. There are some wonderful cheese strats that we do have for some of the harder bosses that will be hopefully shown off today as well. And I'm super excited to get to commentate this. This is one of my favorite games of all time. It is such a treat. It is just the best rhythm game ever made. I'll say that.
Ouais, je préfère.
Attendez
50 balles de Itsukushimu qui nous dit P-E...
Now, Sal, I'm curious, how familiar with Sekiro are you?
Very, very minimally.
Very minimally, okay. Are you familiar with the manga Berserk by chance?
Et du coup,
I have.
en parlant de run,
For some reason, I feel like I know where this is going. I have heard of it. I've seen it. I don't know the contents very much.
That is so fair. The reason I bring it up is I have a long document somewhere basically proposing the theory that Sekiro is From Software's attempt at making a Berserk video game, because the characters are all lined up with the traits of that game, of that manga as well, which I love. It is I love that. I have the brand from Berserk tattooed on me. Yeah, we got KEMIST here and Sir Tank on the runner and commentary as well. Let me make sure I can.
Aujourd'hui, on va jouer les Shinobi. Toujours la blouse et la lunette en place, c'est très important. Comment tu le sens, Sir Tank?
Eh ben, écoute, pas mal. Retour aux origines.
Yeah. The goal of this run is, of course, to, again, get the second ending, the first of the good endings, without getting hit a single time. This is going to require us to play through the majority of the game. There are a few bosses that we will be skipping that are necessary for either the purification of the Dragon's Homecoming ending, but will not be necessary for this run. So we will still be getting pretty much the full experience of Sekiro within this whole speedrun. And honestly, being able to do it all in 50 minutes, let alone hitless, that's so wild to me. It is an intense run. These boss fights are no joke. We will be seeing some prep for later boss fights early on. With KEMIST is probably going to be, there should be some item pickups and such that'll be like, why are we going out of our way to get this? That'll make sense once we get to what it's actually used for. Honestly, in the preparation for the commentary for this too, I saw some strats for bosses I had never seen before that are just like, I get that that's probably slower than like the no hitless runs, but it's really cool just to see how trivialized some of the bosses I really struggled with became using these items in particular.
Mais une run qui promet du spectacle, donc on va surtout te souhaiter bon courage et on va pouvoir lancer ça au calme.
Ok, bon, bah, est-ce que vous êtes prêts là derrière dans la salle un petit peu? Est-ce que vous êtes prêts pour le gaming? Ok, c'est l'heure de lancer un petit peu de gaming. Bah écoute,
petit décompte?
Je te laisse lancer ce décompte bien sûr.
C'est formidable. Eh ben écoute, on va te souhaiter bonne aventure dans 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bonne chance à toi.
C'est parti, let's go.
And they're off. Good luck.
Good luck, KEMIST.
On est parti du coup pour une
aventure des développeurs de this is going to be a ton of fun. This is such a fun run.
Entre guillemets habituel, ceux qui ont fait leur renommée. Un sous-like et 2 cœurs plus que de raison.
So, to start off here, Wolf is in a hole. He just does not have access to all his things right now. He was thrown down there by the people currently in charge, if I'm remembering the story correctly. And we need to make our way back to Kuro, who is going to help us get our stuff back so that we can attempt to stop the current invasion going on, I believe, by Genichiro. This is all like kind of stuff happening in the past. Once we get through the first boss fight, it's going to speed up to the current point that the rest of the game will be at. Also, you do not need to enter that window. You can just jump up and kind of brush against it in order to get up into here. Yes, now the wolf here has his sword. Kuro will also be giving you his charm as well. That is not going to be relevant for this run. It'll be a little bit irrelevant. What Kuro's charm does, which doesn't even show up as an item pickup here, is it allows you to have imperfect parries that still block all damage from affecting you. Once you've beaten the game once on New Game Plus mode, or just like doing a second playthrough, you can actually opt to not take Kuro's charm, which then mandates that in order to avoid all damage using your parries, you need to get the perfect parry deflect. Otherwise, you'll start taking chip damage. It makes the game a lot more difficult in that it forces you to perfect every parry moment that you have in order to not just be whittled down by your opponent. Honestly, I think it's the best way to play. It requires you to just be good at all of the boss fights, and it just having to slow down and really time the parries and not just spam it or panic with it just turns this game into this elegant dance of sorts that I don't think any other game has really captured. But yeah, this is first boss fight. We have Genichiro here. Normally this is a boss fight that you are expected to lose. As he is very powerful in his current state. You have just gotten access to a sword. You have none of your other equipables or attachments and such to make this easier. And yeah, he's just a very difficult boss as well. This is very similar to how he is in the middle game once you have a lot more upgrades. And since this is a no-hit run, instead of just taking the death and moving on to the rest of the game as normally would be done, we do have to beat this boss. KEMIST so far is just absolutely nailing this. Ooh. Fortunately, taking a hit there. KEMIST had told me that their goal was to at most have 5 hits in the run. This is a marathon setting, so even if we do get hit, we are going to be continuing on as well. But these attacks are really difficult to dodge, especially when we don't have access to the full utility set of movement options and items to allow us to dodge these attacks better. Yeah, with that, yeah, reset, of course. With that, if you defeat Genichiro, a shuriken comes out of nowhere and then just takes off our arm. So now the shinobi wolf here has a prosthetic, and this prosthetic arm is going to allow us to get attachments that are going to aid us in our journey to save Kuro from their fate as the one to be, I believe, reincarnated into the dragon. Yeah, to end the dragon's heritage that Kuro has been cursed with as a result of the previous owner of the dragon's heritage, Takero, doing the same thing too. This is the ending for this is the equivalent of lighting the fire at the end of Dark Souls. We're continuing the cycle of things going on. We're not really solving it, but we are saving Kuro from that fate. Next up, we have the Chained Ogre fight. This fight in particular was a sticking point for a lot of people when this game originally came out. This is a very difficult fight. This ogre does not leave a lot of opportunities for you to be able to... I did not know you could just get that first hit on the ogre there. This ogre is a WWE fan. You might be able to tell from the moves that they will be showing off here. But this is also a good time to talk about how damage and health works in Sekiro. So you'll notice that there was that... We're going to see it again here. There's going to be this red light that's going to show up on the enemy here. That is the indicator that you are able to get a critical hit on this enemy. So There are, for lesser enemies, non-boss enemies, you can just whittle their health down to 0 and that will count as a kill against them. However, for the boss enemies, you need to get a critical hit in order to take one of their lives. The amount of lives that they have is in the top left corner of the screen above the health bar. That's the red circle that was above the Chained Ogre's health bar there. And you need to either get their health down to 0 to stagger them so that you can perform a critical hit, or, this is what makes the game interesting, there is that parry system where at the top of the screen there is that yellow bar that fills up. That's the stamina meter for the enemy that you're fighting against, the bosses in particular. If you manage to fill that up as well, you also will get a stagger on them without completely taking their health down to 0, which allows you to immediately perform a critical hit too. There's 2 different avenues for getting these critical hits. Oh, I guess a third one too. You can get a sneak attack on enemies as well, which we will be able to do on certain bosses later on too, in order to immediately get a critical hit without whittling their health down to 0 or filling or draining their stamina as well. But that's not going to be as commonly used. This just allows for some wonderful opportunities to get some the expression that players have in this game with the variety of ways you can actually take out your opponents leads to everybody just kind of does it their own way. Of course, the speedruns are fairly standardized with what they're doing, and also KEMIST here unfortunately struggling with this the pale snake here. This is a tough enemy to get around. They missed the skip unfortunately to not have to do the sneak sequence here, so they're gonna have to redo this. But yeah, a wonderful question was asked by chat. Does each boss have their own stagger parry count? Yes, every boss has their own amount of health as well as their own stamina bar, and the amount of damage you do to their either health or stamina depends on the boss. Every boss has its own individual values for it. There's not necessarily like you need to do X amount of parries in order to defeat them, as if you are not consistently applying pressure and attacking the boss and parrying, the stamina bar will start to fill up again. So for stamina, you have to be persistent. You can't just, unlike health, which once you've drained the health, you've done damage, the health is generally never going to refill. But the stamina bar will start refilling if you are not going fast enough. So that is one thing we do have to keep a track here. The one nice thing, though, about the interplay of stamina and health is the lower the health the enemy has, the more stamina damage they will take, as well as the longer it takes for their stamina bar to refill. So as you are damaging enemies, it does get faster to fill up that stamina bar so you can get the critical hit. There are some enemies where I do not think you can fill the stamina bar without doing a massive amount of damage to them, because their stamina regeneration is just way too high. But we will be seeing that as well with a couple of the later bosses. Now, of course, if KEMIST is doing the run correctly, which I'm sure they will, we will be. They missed the. They're trying to do the double canyon skip here. We will be seeing this stuff there, but what KEMIST just unfortunately didn't quite hit there is there's a very complicated jump we can do along that wall here to skip having to go through the cave and doing that grapple along the walls. It lets you just go right past this pale snake. The second part of that skip was that sneak section there. They unfortunately didn't hit the first time too. This lets us get ahead of the AI that the snake has, in order to just skip through here without it really being a pain, because it's currently mad that we're in its canyon right now. Yeah, we've managed to get through here now. This will not be the last of the pale snake that we'll be seeing. Will be later. That will be dealing with it once again. We will not be killing it as other speedruns will be doing, as we do not need to get the Serpent's Viscera in this game, since we're not doing Purification or Dragon's Homecoming. But we are coming up on our next boss here, the infamous, the notorious Gyobu Masataka Oniwa, as he will often scream. I will not be screaming it because my throat is a little hoarse from last night, and so is he on a not so little horse. He has a big spear and he is mad, and he is guarding the gatehouse to get towards the palace where Kuro is currently held at. So we need to defeat him in horseback battle, except we do not have a horse. So not only are we having to do with the range that the spear has, but we also have that horse is bucking around and running around as well. It is tough. We do have opportunities to like grapple him, as we see right here. to get up close, and that does allow us to get a little bit of chip damage on him as well. But this fight is a lot of just trying to get behind where he's attacking so that we can score some hits on the back of the horse, and making sure that we're avoiding the massive range that the spear has. Ooh, that kick on the horse is tough to dodge. But yeah, there's another one of the stamina kills. We only had about like a third of the health left, and we were able to take down Gyobu Masataka Oniwa. The horse is okay. Now we have some items to pick up over here. There's a shop we'll be visiting as well as this guy who is going to be teaching us a mechanic. He also, look at what was behind that mask there. I wonder if we'll be seeing him later. Interesting. Oh, actually, we will not be grabbing the items here. Interesting. Okay, I wasn't sure which one KEMIST would be doing for item pickup, but there are some fistfuls of ashes and coin bags that you can buy at the shopkeeper that we just passed by. It looks like KEMIST will be doing something different than I was expecting. How fun! I'll be getting to react alongside y'all to this then. We got some more fight platforming coming up here soon. I'm not sure which one KEMIST is going to do for the skip. I know on earlier patches, we're coming up on the Blazing Bull fight. This is another very difficult fight where it's not a standard duel, but instead a raging beast that we have to be maneuvering around while getting chip damage on it. Oh, it looks like we're just going straight to the bull. Perfect. On older patches, and I believe other runs, there is a way to skip the bull. You can do a very complicated platforming sequence outside of here to get into this place without it properly loading, which allows us to skip past this. But we're going to be doing the bull here as well. I think that way might require a void out or something. I'm not... It's been a little while since I've looked at it, but Blazing Bull is tough. The whole goal of this is we are trying to do these charged attacks in order to do as much damage as we can while staying behind the bull, because the hitbox for the bull is in the front where its horns are on fire. So we need to just be hiding behind it. Ooh, nice stagger over. Very good. And then get the critical on it and take it out of its misery. That's a tough fight. The non-standard duels are some of the most difficult fights, especially on a first playthrough, because it's just really hard to keep like persistence up on the enemy while we're trying to land hits on it. Now we have a castle, or a castle to ascend here. Kuro is currently at the top of this castle, and we have some enemies here on the roofs too that we need to be avoiding as well. We got this dude right here who has a ranged weapon. Oh, no, that's fine. Yeah, we have to get that dude in particular that just passed by to get out of the way. We have a guy on a kite that's going to come down. That scares everyone in their first playthrough. You just hear, what is this like, ooh, sound coming, and then they just jump on you out of nowhere. It's very funny. We're going to come up to here. We have, is KEMIST going to grab? No, okay, KEMIST is not grabbing the item. Instead, this skip allows us to not have to go through the castle interior in order to get to the roof here. And yeah, we're coming up onto the Genichiro refight. This is a harder version of the original fight. Unless you know the speedrun strat, which is we can bait Genichiro to be behind this door and essentially stun lock him. There are certain attacks that we will have to dodge if he does go for them. But this is looking, this is one of my favorite fights in the game, and it's just absolutely trivialized by putting Genichiro behind this door here. He just can't do anything. Gotta love good geometry like that. Just really benefiting us. The shame during the intro we do not have access to a door as well, but this will not be the last of the door we will be seeing. Also, we do have phase 3 where now Genichiro takes off his shirt and deals with lightning. The dodge there as well. Now in the normal playthrough, when he does his lightning attack, If you jump in the air when you're hit with the lightning, you can then redirect the lightning back at him to do a big hit. I believe it's probably just quicker to dodge behind him and then to continue wailing on him, because we're not trying to do a get the health points down to 0 fight. We are trying to get that parry bar to be filled, or the stamina bar to be filled like this, so we can get the critical hit. And with that, we have defeated Genichiro.
Clairement pas, mais bon, on continue, on essaie de garder la tête froide et on va pouvoir faire une phase de dialogue pour réfléchir.
So that's the end of what you could kind of consider the first act of this game. With this, we now are able to finally make it to Kuro, who is just down here. Now we're going to have a lovely conversation asking Kuro about his day, what kind of food he ate today, how he's feeling. We're going to obey the Iron Code. We're going to serve him into death, that sort of thing. And now we need to go locate the divine dragons. We need to find the divine dragon spheres in order to break the dragon's heritage. We're not breaking the cycle, but to get the dragon's heritage to not affect Kuro in particular. We now have 3 items in particular we need to go seek out in the world in order to actually access the divine domain. In order to get the divine dragon's tears, we're going to be having the Lotus of the Palace we have to find. We have the Shelter Stone we'll have to find, and I believe we might also see the Mortal Blade be picked up, which allows us to kill certain undying enemies. I believe that's also going to be a part of this too. But the Lotus of the Palace and the Shelter Stone are the big ones, as that allows us to ride the carriage to the Divine Realm. Now we're talking to Ishin here, who we definitely will not be seeing later on as well.
Comment ça, mon ref?
Comment ça?
Petit saké là.
On fait des heures sup, mais
elle est pas méritée la saké, elle est pas méritée.
And we're back to the Buddhist temple with the sculptor, and we are going to be spending some of those level ups that we've gotten in order to... Oh, we're not? No, we're just getting the text. Interesting. This does divulge quite a bit from the run I practice with. Cool. KEMIST does not need that. KEMIST is not about that, and I respect him for that.
Je pensais à l'espionnage, mais on verra ça plus tard.
Ah, c'est dans la Hall Bossy, c'est pas ça.
Ah,
Now we're back in Ashina Castle.
On reverra plus jamais le sculpteur. On voulait juste les compétences pour la sortie mortelle. D'ailleurs, sortie mortelle, c'est l'objet.
Let's see. Where are we headed?
Et donc c'est pour ça qu'on va passer par là-bas, vers ce tunnel.
Ah yes, we're going to be going below the castle here. The dilapidated mine, I believe.
Fort mal famé, avec des petits dégâts des eaux qui vont nous arranger. On va pouvoir éviter la majorité des adversaires en prenant un petit chemin dérobé. Les ennemis ici ne sont pas extrêmement menaçants à condition de faire.
I think we are going to be headed towards the Senpou Temple in order to get the Mortal Blade. That's usually where this mine is going to be taking us. Getting some Akios sugar. It's going to be used for increasing our damage later. You can just run past the enemies. What is a From Software game without just running past the enemies? Okay, yes, we are heading to Senpou Temple. We will be getting the Mortal Blade, which allows us to kill certain undying enemies that would otherwise not be able to be affected by our non-Mortal Blade. So we gotta take this elevator up, head towards Senpou Temple. We do have one boss that's going to be standing in our way of getting to the floating monkeys in order to pick up the Mortal Blade from the Divine Child. Everybody's favorite armored warrior who shouts Roberto will be coming up here in just a moment. First, we have some monks that we need to be sneaking past here. Of course, KEMIST is just going to be running past because he has no fear. And if you're quick enough, the monks will not be able to affect you anyways. So climbing up into this temple here, grabbing some more Akios sugar. There's like locusts on the walls. There's a bunch of monks. There's like a parasite hanging out inside of one of those monks. And if you were to kill it, you get like a prayer bead, which upgrades your health and posture, which is the stamina bar. Of course, we don't need any of that because this is a close to no hit run. And now we're just going to be climbing up the rest of the way here to get to the bridge. After we go a little bit further along the cliffside here. Enemy we gotta jump over. It is quite nice in these games, especially when you're backtracking, that you can just kind of run past a lot of enemies and not actually have to deal with them. And here we are, onto the armored warrior fight. Now, this enemy is wearing armor, and a lot of it. And as you'll notice, we are not doing any damage to their health. It is all to their stamina. Oh.
Okay, on a eu le cheese, ça fait plaisir. Vous avez...
Okay, so KEMIST just did the quick kill on the armored warrior here, where instead of completely draining their stamina and then doing a critical hit while the armored warrior is standing near the ledge, in order to push him off of it, where he'll shout his famous line, "Roberto!" Instead, the armored warrior just kind of walked off of it on accident, and then we waited for the armored warrior to void out, and we got the kill. That was awesome. I forgot we could do that. That is sick. Yeah, with the armored warrior out of the way, we just gotta climb the rest of the mountain here to get up to this temple, where we will be ringing the bell that takes us to the... I forget the exact name for the hidden realm here. Oh, we're skipping past the door. Okay. It looks like before we go into the temple, we're going to be making a brief detour into the cave behind it, or are we just going in through the back entrance? Oh, okay. We're just going into the back entrance. Cool. We got this bell here. We got to ring it. And when we ring it, we're suddenly somewhere else. We're in the Halls of Illusion. That's right. We're going to be using the Gachiin's sugar, which gives us a stealth ability. And we have 4 folding monkeys we need to find. This is the see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil, and then one's invisible. I forget exactly why, but one starts at the start, right behind you. There's one in the tree there, there's one on the rooftop, and then there's one that has like an entourage as well. And we're going to just ignore the entourage and chase after this guy, this monkey here. And take them out. Perfect. All right, that was very clean. And with that, we got an even bigger bell that we're going to be ringing here, which is going to transport us back and outside of the Halls of Illusion and allow us to commune with the Divine Child in order to get the Mortal Blade, which is again going to allow us to take care of some of the undying enemies we otherwise would not be able to kill with our non-mortal blade. Yeah, well, we have a moment here. We're going to be transporting back to another place so we can start heading towards picking up the shelter stone. I do think we've had a bit of a change in the guard as well. If you'd like to take a moment to introduce yourself, by the way. This is a good time.
Hey, yeah, sure thing. Hello everyone, my name is Caritas, but you can also call me Curry for short, and I'll be your host for these next few runs here at Nitro Speedrun Festival. But Marxcie, you've been rocking with commentary so far. How's the run going?
Oh, it's going great. We've had a few hits. It's not quite a valid no-hit run. This is a very difficult run indeed. But otherwise, KEMIST has been doing great. The fights have all been very clean so far. This is honestly, I've been seeing some things that I haven't even seen before. With the materials that I reviewed didn't quite have the same strats as this, so it's been fun getting to react alongside the audience to the strategies that KEMIST is utilizing here.
Good to hear. I'll let you keep running off with the commentary, so please go for it.
Perfect. Yeah, so now we are going back into the canyon here. We have a... Let's see, we're coming up on... This should be the... Yeah, we're in the valley here. We're going to be passing by the gun fort. Yes, we now have enemies with guns here. This is a particularly scary area for the no-hit speedrun as well, because the enemies have guns, and... You know, guns shoot from far away, and this whole area is called the gun fort. because not only do they have guns, they're really good with them. So KEMIST here is going to be utilizing Gachian's sugar in order to have that stealth effect on. And with any hope, we should be able to sneak past all of the enemies here in order to get past this gun fort area. We have a boss up here. Normally that'd be very difficult because not only are you having to fight it, but you're also getting shot at from the enemies on the cliff side here. But we managed to just sneak right around it. We're gonna go underneath the bridge here in order to get onto this ledge, and we're gonna be hugging the wall as much as possible so that the gun fort enemies are unable to get a shot off on us. This is not a perfect invisibility item, the Gachian's sugar. It just makes us semi-transparent, but it does make us a lot harder to see as well.
Ok, clean. Ok.
This looks good.
Incroyable, la prière qui fut extrêmement efficace, la stratégie
Okay,
bien
very
sûr.
yes.
Il marche bien.
Claps for KEMIST. That was very well done. That is a very tough part of the run. All right, we're on to Giraffe now, which is one of the centipede enemies. This is a fun boss because of the way the parry works. It has a very nice rhythm to it. And we don't even need to worry about that because the Mortal Blade technique, the big swing that KEMIST is doing there just does a ton of damage. And Giraffe does not have a lot of health points to begin with, so we can just very quickly whittle down its health and get those 2 critical hits on it. But welcome back, Pale Snake. We have our friend the Worm here, who is mad and destroys the bridge. We're gonna get ahead of the Pale Snake and just go where we're supposed to go anyways. Oh, hi. It's a friend. Yeah, we're just gonna sneak right on past this. We are headed now towards the fishing village where we'll be getting the shelter stone here. That once again is not gonna be the last we will see of the Pale Snake. It's just kind of hanging out in this canyon. Just generally being a nuisance. Ooh, very good. Almost got the fall damage there, but managed to get the grapple right at the very last moment to skip having to do the normal climb down. Yeah, here's the Pale Snake. This is where its body resides. We're just kind of gonna walk right past it and not even worry about it. In other playthroughs of this game, we would be worrying about taking out the Pale Snake in order to get the Viscera, which is needed again for either the purification ritual or for the Dragon's Homecoming ending. But instead, we're just gonna walk right on past it. Grab this Divine Confetti, which is going to also be a damage boost for certain types of enemies later on, and continue on into the, it's not a From Software game if you don't have a Poison Swamp. You know, we still have these gun enemies too, but we have the poisonous floor we also have to contend with. And this dude in particular, Snake Eyes, is really difficult to deal with if you don't clear out everybody in this area. And even then, the parry timing for some of their attacks is very difficult on the first playthrough. But KEMIST just makes absolutely short work of Snake Eyes here. It gets them taken out super quickly. And with that, we have now opened the path towards the fishing village. Now, normally, if we had already fought the Guardian Ape as well, the Guardian Ape Part 2 fight would be in this cave. With the routing that KEMIST has taken, we do not need to deal with it right now. We also just aren't going to be worrying about that fight too, as it's not necessary for this ending. But it's just a more difficult version of the Guardian Ape fight, where we finally put it to rest and prevent it from being controlled by the parasite. We need to make sure not to... There's a chicken. We need to make sure not to be spending too long in the fog down there, as there are some specters and ghouls that of which are not nice to contend with. There are these ethereal ghost-like enemies that exist in this game that really can only be damaged when you have the Divine Confetti on, or otherwise they take heavily reduced damage here too. But we're just gonna sneak past through all this. Usually this section is slowly trying to find your way through the trees in order to make your way here stealthily. Instead, we're just gonna run along the ground and then deal with this dude, which also has way too low health for the section that they're in, and KEMIST has made short work of them. With that, we're able to get past the temple, out of this fog area, and now we're heading into the canyon where the fishing village is held. This fishing village is going to be how we're going to access the Divine Realm later, But for now, our primary objective while we're coming into here is we need to get the Shelter Stone. There is one more boss standing in our way, the False Corrupted Monk, that we'll have to take care of. This was one of my favorite bosses when I did my challenge run of this playthrough not too long ago. Just for the way the parrying works and having to figure out its moveset is very cool. KEMIST is not going to be having to do the same strats that I did here, because as we noticed, he just made sure to have the Fistful of Ash equipped. This is going the Fistful of Ash and the Seed Pod as well. This is going to allow him to hopefully just cheese this whole boss fight by constantly interrupting them and getting their parry down to be able to take them out very quickly. I'm gonna lock in. I think I want to see KEMIST do this.
Discrètement dans son dos, comme ceci. Je vais pouvoir faire le tour pour activer le boss. Envoyer.
So here's the False Corrupted Monk. We're doing the Seed Pods. That does a bunch of damage. We're doing a whole bunch of Fistful of Ashes, moving them back, and then perfect. So primary thing we were doing there is the Fistful of Ash does cause the boss to recoil. And if we can get them into the correct spot, we can actually get a jump off of the rock that is right next to where Wolf is sitting in order to get that sky execution to skip this whole boss fight. It is super cool. That's one of the other ways that we can get an execution besides lowering the health to 0 or getting the stamina bar filled up. It's not quite a stealth execution. It's an aerial execution. But it's akin to a stealth execution in that you do not have to have the health bar 0 or the parry bar full in order to get the critical hit on the enemy. And the Corrupted Monk only has, or the False Corrupted Monk only has the 1 life to begin with, so we can just take them out immediately. Very, very, very clean fight there. That was textbook perfect. Take a moment to hydrate as well. Chat, if you haven't been drinking water, you should drink some water.
Il nous faudra accomplir 2 autres objectifs. Et ces 2 autres objectifs vont justifier le fait que tu aies activé des idoles précédemment. On retourne à la vallée en Logouti et on va se mesurer du coup à ce qui dort.
Yeah, with that, we have gained access to the fishing village. I don't think KEMIST picked up the Shelter Stone there. Maybe he's going to do so later. Maybe I just missed it. But now we're going to be going into this canyon here where we have the Guardian Ape fight coming up. The Guardian Ape is the one blocking us from getting the Lotus of the Palace, which is the other key item necessary to access the Divine Domain.
La première phase, je vais avoir besoin d'un timing précis pour essayer de le bloquer. Et la deuxième phase, va falloir être malin sur les parades. Je vais utiliser un sucre d'Aco, je fonce.
Or more particularly the Fountainhead Palace, which is in like the Divine Realm.
J'essaie de viser la tête. Voilà.
Hey, here's the Guardian Ape. Say hello to the Guardian Ape, chap.
Allez, 1,
Hello.
2, 3, 4 et 5. Timing. Vas-y, reviens là mon grand. 1.
So right now KEMIST is counting to 5. Getting a bunch of hits on the Guardian Ape to keep it in a stun lock. Perfect. And yep, completely skip having to deal with that fight. You can just get the critical hit. And that allows us to sever the head of the Guardian Ape. And then we also have the Mortal Blade, so we're gonna... Can we deal with this now? Why isn't the fog going away? Uh-oh, it's coming back. It's not dead. Round 2. It's angry. Hot sunk. Big parry. Big swing. Another big swing. 1, 2, 3. Nice. And we got the critical hit on there too. Turns out there was a bug living inside it that was actually control it, and it was dead the whole time. So we were able to take care of that parasite. A theme you will see in a lot of this game is a lot of the enemies are corrupted because there's something else living inside of it that's either like directly controlling it or just indirectly controlling it as well. We see that with Kuro, with the dragon's heritage being a curse upon them. We see it with this enemy and a lot of other enemies that have parasites with them. The final boss as well, we'll be seeing a different variant of this too. But that is definitely a major theme of this game, is just not being in control of your own destiny or your own life as well, being manipulated by something else beyond you. Yeah, that was a very clean Guardian Ape fight. And with that, we have, if we do have the Shelter Stone, which I believe we do, Castle's kind of in a state of disarray. We now have these new red enemies here, which were not here before. Something's happening. Ashina Castle here is currently being invaded by Al and his forces, who has decided that what is going on with the current, the people in charge, the rulers here, that he wants to take control of their destiny and of their supposed powers, essentially, like with the dragon's heritage, and be in control of what's going to happen with Kuro in particular. So we're going to go up there to the top of this castle and go confront our father, who is the one that taught us in the ways of the shinobi. Now, of course, we are doing the Immortal Severance ending. This is the point of the game where you can decide to either follow your father and go for the Shura ending, which is considered the bad ending. You ascend to godhood as a Shura, and which is a god of like war and death, I want to say. But instead, we're not going to be following our father. Instead, obeying the Iron Code. Or actually, no, it's obeying the Iron Code is following your father and what he says. Instead, we're going to be choosing to serve Kuro and try to save him from his curse. That's right. This is another very tough fight as well. We are trying to push perfect. We're trying to get Owl here to be pushed back against the door like we have with Genichiro in order to get this soft lock on the enemy, this stun lock, excuse me, so that we can get their health down to 0 and take care of them. There are still some attacks that Owl will do that will require us to dodge out of the way, but that was... We're not quite getting it at the start. That was a good backup there to get them into the corner, and they do that big attack, and we use the Divine Confetti to get extra damage, and we're just going to wail on them in the corner. This trivializes once again a very difficult fight in the run normally. A very fun fight. Perfect. That's KEMIST did awesome with that. Very good job. That's a tough fight.
Un petit peu, ça fait plaisir. Les stratégies aussi sont rapides, c'est bien.
But now that we've killed our father, which this isn't the only time you would be able to fight your father in this game as well, we are skipping all the flashback cutscenes, which expand on the lore of this game and also allow us to get the other endings, like I've mentioned earlier. We are just going to take care of him because he's threatening the person that we are, trying to protect, and we're going to be having a nice conversation with Kuro here in a moment about how to get access to the Fountainhead Palace in the Divine Realm. We now just saw some upgrades. KEMIST just upgraded the damage that they do, that the wolf does, as well as got some different techniques that we'll be using as well for some fights, and also just upgrading our overall generic abilities too. Of course, now you might be thinking, why didn't we just warp to this sculpture after the Guardian Ape fight so we could go straight to the boss, because we do have fast travel in this game at those blue sculptures. Once the invasion of Ashina starts, which is triggered by the Lotus of the Palace and the Shelter Stone being picked up, these sculptures all just stop working. So we have to go through it as normal. But yep, Kuro and I'm forgetting her name, the lady that's helping Kuro here. We're having a lot of conversations with them to get a lot of lore and dialogue, and basically to be like, hey dude, I know my dad wants to kill you, but like, honestly, you don't deserve that, and I'm gonna protect you instead. The wolf here is a real one for that. Yeah, we now have all the pieces necessary in order to get to the Fountainhead Palace where the Divine Dragon rests. So we're going to take all the pieces we have and we're going to access this carriage here.
L'immortalité qui est donc issue d'une divinité qu'on va aller chercher dès maintenant.
And this is going to allow us to be picked up by this straw doll who we're currently walking on, which is one of the biggest this is an animated NPC that we can see. We skip the cutscene where it picks us up and takes us here. I think there was a video I once saw that's just, it's one of the biggest NPCs in a video game ever. It's huge. Now we have the true version of the corrupted monk here now as well. This is a harder version of the false monk fight that was blocking the way to get here. That stamping on the sword technique is one of the ones that we upgraded in order to get access to in the skill tree earlier. We got the 1 critical hit here. We're able to get the 2nd critical hit up here from on top of this tree if we line it up correctly. Perfect. KEMIST got that, which allows us to sever their neck, which is going to expose the parasite that is living within them. Because once again, the theme here is, you know, this not being in control, being corrupted by parasites living inside of you, either literally or metaphorically. And yeah, now we're just gonna wail on this monk who does these big sweeping attacks. The parry timing on this fight is very satisfying once you get it down. Just a few more attacks here too. Good parry, perfect. This fight went pretty much, yeah, with that last critical hit on the parasite to specifically get it with the Immortal Blade here. That is just wriggling in the air. Awesome. That went pretty much how we wanted it to go. That was a very good fight. Perfect. Yeah, we now have access to the Fountainhead Palace, which beyond this is where the Divine Dragon lives, which is going to allow us to get the Divine Dragon's tears to be able to sever Kuro from having to deal with the, you know, the what's the word? The Dragon's heritage, so that they don't have to like live on with that. Ooh, there is an enemy on a tree here that we're attempting to dodge, which is shooting out these lightning arrows. We try to sneak around in order to not get spotted by this. We have gotten a few hits in this run as well, but this has been still a very good showcase of the no-hit strats for this run here. But what we haven't seen up until this moment, because ideally in these runs we would not see it, is the Shinobi Wolf here doesn't just have one life. Like the other enemies that we fight, he does have the ability to come back from the dead. You can get more of these by upgrading Wolf throughout the game too, but we do have one by default. By the way, we just dodged a giant carp that's living in that fountain. I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. I think that enemy is the scariest enemy in a video game ever. I am terrified of going in water in games. I am sure I'm not alone with y'all in the crowd. If you played Jak and Daxter as a kid and got eaten by the fish out in the waters there, you too know the fear of a giant fish eating you. It took me 30 minutes to get through that underwater section. I was so terrified. I am so glad KEMIST makes it look so easy. You can just kind of skip past it. There is a way to actually kill the carp too, to not make it something you have to deal with, but you do have to sneak around it first in order to get access to that point, and it's just not fast compared to what we're doing in the speedrun, and otherwise unnecessary. So yeah, we just need to climb up here. There's going to be a cave we'll be entering, and we're going to be having the second to last fight, boss fight for this run here. Right now, we are now at the Divine Dragon. And the Divine Dragon is just on a cloud with some like roots underneath it. And we have these fellas, these monks that serve the Divine Dragon too, that we're gonna make some short work of. But we need to defeat several of these in order to get the Divine Dragon to wake up and start attacking us. We're gonna get a critical hit on this and then swing it around us to do huge damage and take out a bunch of them all at once. But we just have a few more to take out here before the Divine Dragon wakes up. A little bit closer. Perfect. Awesome. And now the Divine Dragon is angry, and they have a big sword, and they're pushing us back with the wind. So now we need to be doing damage to it using the lightning strikes here in order to get its health down to low so that we can then climb it and get the critical hit on it. And honestly, we don't need the lightning. We're just going to do the big Mortal Blade swings here or to do damage on it. But yeah, what we're looking for is these roots that have the lightning bolt effects going up on it, so we can get a lightning strike on it. That is once again an attack we learned during the second Genichiro fight on top of the Ashina Castle. Of course, we didn't end up utilizing that because we have a much better strat, which is just hug a wall and then he can't move. I love thematically the redirecting the lightning. It reminds me a lot of Avatar: The Last Airbender, when Iroh first learned to redirect the lightning as well, which is just, it's so cool. Yeah, the lightning there, our sword is made of metal, so we're able to redirect it. I believe that's the reason for it. And as long as we're jumping in the air, the lightning isn't grounded and isn't able to like flow through us into the ground, so that we're able to redirect it towards something else that's grounded, which in this case is the dragon there. Alright, one more hit from the lightning should do it.
tout va bien, c'est valide dans les, dans les règles du no hit. Maintenant le boss est terminé et il va juste faire une dernière attaque qui correspond à son bouquet final, j'ai envie de dire.
The dragon's doing these massive swings that we have to be constantly running to dodge.
Comme je ne peux pas gagner de temps, je me suis mis super loin et je vais juste courir à droite et à gauche pour esquiver les coups sans me prendre la tête. Allez, ici balayage, on va sauter une fois, parfait.
And a big jump there to dodge the air slices. Come on.
Il va frapper une fois. Balayage, c'est pas fini. Balayage, allez, gauche, boum boum. On va esquiver la dernière et là, on va pouvoir valider le boss numéro 15.
All right, we're running back. The roots are back. We need one more lightning strike. Perfect. Oh, that wasn't lightning. Oh, it was the wind. Yes, and now we get the lightning, and now we're gonna grapple on into the enemy. Come on, we're gonna run up the sword. There's our critical point right in the eye. And using the mortal blade, we're gonna stab it right into there. And we're gonna be able to extract a divine dragon's tear. And with that, we finally have, and also it's like a god has been slain, which is metal as heck. And with that, we now have the ability to stop Kuro from having to hold the dragon's heritage and to prevent them from being cursed with this. Also, Ishina's here and he's kind of sick. It looks like Kuro might have gotten taken by someone. Oh no. I don't know what's going on here. This isn't good. Oh no. Well, in a wonderful thematic end to this too, there's been a note left for us, and we've been informed we need to essentially go back to where it all started. So you might recognize this from the very start of the game. We're going to be resting the sculpture here. I think we're going to use this opportunity to... Oh, where are we working? Oh, yeah, we're resting here to get our health back. We're going to be taking advantage of the kills we got. Oh, we just went right through the fire. Didn't quite skip the fire there, unfortunately. Yeah, we're gonna get a bit more damage upgrade, and now we're going back to where it all started with the first fight, the Genichiro fight, and we are going to be one more time.
8 coups au compteur. Vais-je réussir à conserver ça?
Going to be fighting Emir.
Mookie, tapez. Allez, on se buff et on sort la gourde médicinale. Pourquoi? Pas pour soigner, on s'en fiche de soigner. Tout ce que je veux, c'est...
There he is. And he's mad, and he is still shirtless. And he has taken Kuro and gone into this field, and now we need to defeat him. And once we defeated Genichiro, we'll be able to stop the dragon's heritage and save Kuro. This is the only thing in our way. Oh, we got the parry. Perfect. We got the critical hit. He pushed us off of us. Oh, by the way, his father was not dying in the castle. His father was inside his body the whole time. And he's back. And he's mad. And he has a lot of health and some wild attacks. This is a fantastic fight. This is a wonderfully climactic fight. Oh, KEMIST is just making short work. These are some excellent parries. Very good. First life down. Big stomp. Big spear here. Good time to use an Akio sugar so we can get some more damage. Take advantage of these big mortal blade swings.
Ok, je vais essayer de traquer tranquillement. Là, on va le traquer encore une fois. Allez. Non.
Chase him around. Big. Ooh, that's a shame. Yeah, we do not have a lot of health right now, unfortunately, but that's okay. We have these backup, these revives as well that we can take advantage of. We used one there. This is a very tough fight. Good stagger there with the mortal blade. And with that, all right, second critical hit down. Perfect. We have one more left to go. Big hit there. Now he has access to lightning. We're going to hopefully avoid that by continuously keeping him down. Oh, dodged under the lightning. Very good. Big swing with the mortal blade there. Good parry. Once again, dodging underneath it. Oh, it's so much easier to just dodge underneath it. Just run at his feet. You don't have to deal with it at all. Big swing with the mortal blade once again.
Allez, donc j'ai
Nice, good stagger with the Mortal Blade there too. That's so much easier than dodging that attack. Oh my goodness.
Allez, courage, attention, ça j'esquive, le timing est bon.
Good dodge once again. We're almost up at time here. We just got to get that stamina bar filled up. We're nearly there. Big swing again to prevent that attack. Dodging underneath his feet to avoid the lightning. Another big swing with the Mortal Blade. And with that, critical hit. Ishin has been defeated.
En moins de 55 minutes quand même, le time sera à l'apparition des crédits, voilà, ou sur la
Falling to his knees.
Je vais prévenir, mais pour l'instant on a vraiment encore une trentaine de secondes de cinématique à terminer. Mais oui,
He accepts his defeat with grace.
très compliqué. Par contre une seconde moitié qui fut très bonne.
As he understands the Iron Code and the way of the Shinobi. And we give him a quick death. And with that, we have saved Kuro from Genichiro and Ishin. And now here is Kuro. And we're going to be giving him the Divine Dragon's Tears. And this is going to keep him from succumbing to the Dragon's Heritage and saving him. And with that, that is time. That was a fantastic run. Not quite a hitless run, unfortunately. There were a few sticking points here, but that really just goes to show how difficult of a run this is. KEMIST absolutely nailed the strats he was going for. Otherwise, honestly, still coming in underestimate despite the little difficulties we had in year 2 was just incredibly impressive. This is awesome. I love this game so much. This was super cool. GG's, KEMIST, Sir Tank. Y'all did wonderfully. Yeah, we're going to be, now that we've given Kuro the Divine Dragon's Tear, we are able to utilize the Mortal Blade on him to kill him and prevent the Dragon's Heritage from using him as an unwanted vessel. Or an unwanting vessel. Now, of course, if you were to do more of the content in this game, there are other endings that you can get. You can either purify him of the dragon's heritage, which allows him to live instead of killing him, but it doesn't actually stop the dragon from choosing a new heir. Or we can do all the steps necessary for the dragon's homecoming, as the divine dragon in this game isn't actually from Japan. It is from somewhere out west. And if you follow a series of steps, you're actually able to guide it away from Japan so that no one in Japan will ever be affected by it again. But yeah, we now see that Wolf here has become like the sculptor before him. The implication here being the sculptor from the start of the game too had done the same thing that Wolf had done and stopped the person that he was serving from taking on the dragon's heritage. And now he's stuck just sculpting because he was unable to truly solve the problem to begin with.
Mais écoute, on va surtout souhaiter bon courage aux autres qui vont
yeah, he's cast away the prosthetic arm that the previous sculptor done, and the cycle unfortunately does continue. He has saved Kuro, but truly there will be yet another wolf that'll come along that'll have to stop this again. Yeah, GG's KEMIST. You did wonderfully. That was a fantastic run. Yeah, I love that game. It is one of my favorite games of all time. I hope you enjoyed that run.